Hi everyone, my name is Juleigh Chin and I am running for Nassau County Legislator. I'd like to start the evening by thanking the Lakeville State Civic Association for holding this meet and greet and giving us the opportunity to come and really get to know our community a little bit better, a little bit deeper. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My parents immigrated from Korea a few years before I was born, so I like to say that I was the first one that was made in the USA in my family. My father was an architect and also worked at a gas station in the early years. And my mother owned a small business. She owned a Jewish deli. And our last name is actually pronounced Jew in Korean, so we were the Jew family that owned a Jewish deli in Pittsburgh. So if you know anybody in Pittsburgh from the 70s and 80s, you can ask them, they'll know. I married my college sweetheart. We've been married for 29 years this year. We have two wonderful boys, one who is in the back of the room, both Eagle Scouts, both born and raised in New York, and educated their entire lives throughout the Herrick School District. I was fortunate enough to be a stay-at-home mom where I started as PTA president and then moved on to be on the school board where I currently sit as the school board president. Been on the school board for 13 years, was PTA president for 4 different years, and have done everything I can to really give back to this community. When I first went back to work, I started as a part-time substitute aide in the Mineola School District, and then I started working full-time for Northwell at LIJ Hospital, where I first was the gift shop manager and then moved on to work in community volunteer services. From there, after working there for almost 8.5 years, I did go and get to work in the town of North Hempstead. First as their deputy town clerk for 2.5 years, and then in community services and services for the aging. So some of my friends here who like to go to Fun Day Monday, you may not remember my name, you may not remember my face, but you might remember my voice saying, "Welcome to Fun Day Monday," because that's what I used to do. I have really gotten to know every corner of this community through the work that I've done in my advocacy and in my free time, because it's a passion of mine. I have worked with seniors, I have worked with students, I've worked in the community, and I have done everything that I can to be able to help the people around me. And that's really what it's all about. It's about finding ways to help our neighbors. And that's really just what I'm here to do. What I continue to do, what I will continue to do, and what I hope to do as your next Nassau County Legislator. Thank you.
I do apologize. I'm supposed to be up there. I'm going to ask you both to take the seats there. Scott, if you'd like to do your opening.
Sure. I apologize, folks. I'm a mayor, used to be the mayor of Mineola, and I'll get into that in a second, but I hate public speaking, and I know you think that's weird from an elected official, but it's true. But good evening. I thank you all for coming out tonight. Your presence and your membership in this organization shows you're as passionate about the well-being of your community as I am. And a big thank you to the leadership of the Civic Association. You're giving your neighbors another place to be heard. For those who don't know me, I've been a resident of the village of Mineola for 61 years. I'm the father of 2 boys and the grandfather of an adorable 18-month-old girl. As a kid, I was involved in scouting, rising to the rank of Eagle Scout, something I am extremely proud of. Both of my sons are Eagle Scouts as well. I'm a product of the Mineola School District. I held many jobs during my school years, at some point holding down 3 jobs at one time. I never have been one to sit around. I was a soccer coach, a Little League coach for both of my boys, as well as an adult leader in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. In fact, I'm still involved in Scouts. I'm a member of the Mineola Volunteer Ambulance Corps and a former chief of the Mineola Volunteer Fire Department, where I am still one of their most active firefighters and have been for the last 44 years. I have been recognized as Firefighter of the Year 4 times. For 20 years, I served as a New York City police officer, then detective. Most of my career was spent in the police department's emergency service unit. They're the SWAT and the rescue team. I've earned numerous awards during my police career, 2 of the most notable being the Medal for Valor and for my actions during the attacks of September 11th, the highest award the NYPD can bestow, the Medal of Honor. I had the privilege of serving as mayor of the village of Mineola for 4 terms. It was a position I never saw myself in nor aspired to be in, but I did it and I had an amazing time. We were able to do many great things without adding to the tax burden of our residents and business owners. For the last several years, I've been partnered with the Missions of Honor. They're an organization that focuses on the health and well-being of our veterans. Each year, they bring more than 65 veterans to New York, touring the city for 4 days. I stay in the city with them for the entire time. as a volunteer, which is the least I can do for those who have given us so much. 3 years ago, I was asked to run for the position of Nassau County Legislator. Although I was enjoying no longer being an elected official, I felt I had more to give to my community, so I said yes. It has been great getting back to helping people aside from being a police officer and a firefighter. I've worked with so many great people over these last few years, partnering with them to help make their communities better and safer, and I want to continue to do so. Nassau County is the safest county in the country. We're doing great work in providing the tools and support our police officers need to keep crime down and out of our communities. By this time next year, we'll have about 250 new police officers on the streets protecting our families. As I mentioned, our veterans are special to me. Recently, we donated a piece of property on Long Beach to the Tunnel Towers Foundation. They will tear down the abandoned motel to build a 42-unit apartment complex for veterans. I partnered with our villages, the town, and our fire departments, providing them with grant money to help and fund their projects they may not have the funds for. Things like park enhancements and firefighting equipment to keep our firefighters safe. I'm thoroughly enjoying this and wish to continue serving you and your families. Hopefully you'll agree with me. Thank you.
Our first question. Ms. Chin, the Republicans sent out a flyer saying that Juleigh hikes school taxes 18.5%. As a member of the Herrick School Board, can you please comment on the veracity of this statement?
Can I have that mic?
I'm sorry. Apologize.
So I unfortunately did not receive that mailer. It did not come to me, but I did see it. I have been on the school board for 13 years. And if we're going to vilify every volunteer that's ever stepped up to serve on a school board and really make them the villains for school taxes going up, we would never have anybody run for school board. Now, I can tell you that the average, since I've been on the board, of the tax increases at Herrick's has been 1.68% per year. Newsday just did an article in September showing that each school district, how much they spent on each student. We call that the per pupil expenditures. And it shows that Herrick's is at the very lowest end, that we spend the very least per student. And we do that because we are very, very much aware of what the taxes mean on our homeowners. What I can tell you also is that Herrick's is consistently one of the top ranked schools in New York State and even in this country. We always have students that excel. We have more students that are Regeneron winners or National Merit Scholars. We even had a 100% graduation rate last year. It's actually, we have so much to be thankful for, and we're doing that all very keenly aware of what the tax burden is on each homeowner. What I can also tell you is that with those high taxes, you are getting, your home is rising in its value, and we are very proud of that as well.
So the taxes went up over 18%, which was a $17 million tax burden to our families. Now, yes, the school district is rated one of the better ones. However, that comes at a cost, and the cost is to our senior citizens and to our single parents and to those who are struggling check to check. How do you afford a $17 million tax increase? A friend of mine just told me the other day that her school tax bill went up $1,900 just this year. $1,900. That's almost $160 a month. I'm not sure how our senior citizens or those who are struggling check to check can pay an extra $160 a month. I'm sure they could have found some economies of scale, some operational efficiencies, so they didn't raise it up to 1.6%. Maybe it could have been 1.1, maybe 1.2, maybe something lower than that by searching inside that budget. And a budget that large, I'm sure there could have been something they could have cut to ease the burden on all of you and all of us.
So again, a school board does only presenting the budget to the public. The public actually gets to vote on said budget. But really, the biggest waste of taxpayer dollar is when you are not getting what you deserve from your taxes in general. When your home assessment rate is completely broken, that's set by the county. And if you don't grieve your taxes, the fact that you could be spending $10,000 more than your next door neighbor because you didn't know to grieve it and they did. That's a broken tax system. Trying to vilify a school district for doing what we feel is right for our students and our families and making sure that we are providing the most for our community is not what waste is. Waste is not opening a new pool in your area, or not fixing the potholes in your area, or not fixing the lights in your area. That's a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Our next question is to both. Does the county need speed cameras for better enforcement like New York City?
I think having speed cameras is a benefit. We've all seen the aggressive driving that we're on our roads. We've all seen the increase in deaths on our roads. The police officers are doing the best that they can. And we have technology that tells us where the police officers are. So you could drive like a madman all over the roads, and then when Waze tells you that there's a police officer up ahead, you drive like an altar boy. That's got to stop. So I think one of the better ways to do things is increase the number of speed cameras, although that's a state regular law that's got to be passed. It has nothing to do with the county. And use technology. And it takes the guesswork out of these summonses. You get something in the mail, there's no points on your license, and it helps the ambiguity of who gets pulled over when. So there's not one community that's targeted over another community. I realize that the courts just broke down and found it illegal to have the fines at the level that they are. But there's an argument to be made that the higher the fine, the chances are people aren't going to violate the law. If the fine is $25, to a lot of people, not to me, $25 is not a lot of money. To me, it is a lot of money. So maybe it is worth increasing the fines and increasing the penalties. Actions have consequences.
So I agree that I think that having some sort of camera system or something else to help slow people down would be beneficial for us. We hear it, especially in some of our residential areas on the larger streets. You know, people blow past their stop signs. It's not safe for the people who are walking. It's not safe for our students, our kids, our seniors, any person who's walking, any runner. So I do believe that having things like that in place would be beneficial. That said, I think that the county trying to make extra money on that and not returning monies that were illegally taken, those extra fines, that's not necessary. We're talking about people who can't pay a $25 ticket, but then the county adding a $100 fee on top of that. Suffolk County was forced to return that money. Nassau County has not returned that money. So talking about safety, absolutely yes. Making people slow down for our pedestrians, absolutely yes. Taking extra fees just for the sake of having it in the county budget, no, not for me, not for you.
So I agree with the extra fees. However, I was not on the county legislator at that time when those fees were raised. And so I can't speak to why it was done. You could speculate. Maybe it was to add extra funds in the budget, but maybe it was to do just what I said and increase the fines to make it hurt a little bit. If the pain hurts, then you're not going to do it. I've never received a fine that I paid for running red light cameras because I never ran a red light. If you don't want to pay the fine, whether it's illegally exorbitant or not, or they're $25, don't run the red light. We have that option. If you adhere to the law, you don't have to pay the fines. It's simple.
Mr. Strauss, what is your proudest achievement as a legislator? What else do you feel needs to be done in our district?
So, thank you. Some of the proudest things that I've actually I enjoy doing is giving back to the community. I've partnered, as I mentioned in my opening statements, partnered with village mayors, with the town of North Hempstead, with some civic associations, fire departments, and given some of their tax dollars back to them through grant money, and help fund some of the projects that they didn't have the money to afford. As a legislator, I think that's one of the greatest things that I've had the opportunity to do, is to reach out in the district that I currently represent, some of the smaller fire departments like Belrose Terrace and Belrose Village, who don't have large budgets like a fire district, and to give them $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000 means the world to me. Our firefighters' Scott packs, the air packs that they wear on their backs, cost $8,000 each. Just one. You heard Chief Utero up here before saying that they have 20 really active firefighters. Well, each one of those active firefighters gets on a truck, and those trucks have 10 of those Scott packs on it. That's $85,000 just there. So a lot of budgets can't afford it. A lot of villages can't afford it. A lot of fire departments can't afford it. So it's good that I have the opportunity to give some of that money back to the villages and to the fire departments to help reduce their line and keep those firefighters safe. I'm incredibly proud of that.
Ms. Chin, what do you believe needs to be done to improve our district? If elected, how would you work to accomplish this, possibly being part of the minority party in the legislature?
So the very first thing, and I think that the easiest thing to fix, and this goes from the county level, town level, village level, whatever, is making sure that there's clear communication, and that when somebody reaches out to our office, that at the end of the day, that email or phone call is answered. I will make sure that our inbox is at 0 at the end of every single day. Right now, there is just a lack of communication coming from all ends of, your represented people. On top of that, I would fight for the things that we need and the amenities of our community. Christopher Morley Park is a wonderful example of where we have to do better. It's a county park. It needs to be beautified, and that pool needs to be reopened. Our roads need to have no potholes. Our streetlights need to be lit. And we need to make sure that if people in our community have any kind of issue, they know who to reach out to, and that person will help them find answers and get solutions to any of their problems.
This question is for both candidates, but Mr. Strauss will answer first in the order of things. What is your philosophy on government transparency and the accessibility for public information?
I think it's incredibly important to be as transparent as possible. When I was the mayor of Mineola, and certainly as Nassau County legislator, I've done everything I can to be as transparent as possible. I have nothing to hide. I think I'm doing a great job. I think I did a phenomenal job as mayor. I'll pat myself on the back, and I think I'm doing a really good job as being a legislator. Certainly a learning curve coming from mayor. A little bit frustrating at times because I came from a position where I got things done when I needed them done. Being a Nassau County legislator, I'm one of 19 people. There's not a lot of opportunity for me to actually call up DPW and say, hey, get it done, unlike when I was mayor. There's a process, there's 19 of us, there's all 19 legislators are looking to get things, potholes fixed, signs, streetlights relit. Transparency is incredibly important. And Julie mentioned about reaching back to the community. Yeah, I'm phenomenal with that as well. I think it's very important that people who reach out to us with questions, concerns, issues, problems, that they get a timely response. That's what you elected us for. That's what you are paying me for to do, is to get back to you and get your situations addressed and worked out as best we possibly can. The bigger the government, a little bit more of a headache it is, but it's we're getting it done as fast as we possibly can for everybody.
Ms. Chen, if elected, what would you do to make real transparency in government a reality?
Under the current administration, there's actually not a whole lot of transparency. There was recently one of the largest turnovers in court because in the town of Hempstead, which is just south of us, they attempted to put in a new supervisor without due process, without voting, without letting anybody know. It was against the open meetings law, and there was no transparency there. With the current budget, with the way that certain contracts are awarded, the way that certain monies are paid out to big law firms, to big donors, there's no transparency in that. And there's no transparency when the person who's in office is asking for the monies to come back to their communities and it's not being awarded. There's really not a whole lot of transparency. That's what I'm here to fight for, because whatever I learn, I want to share with you. If there's an issue that you have, I want to be able to come back to you and tell you where we are at with it and what we're fighting for and how we're going to get it done.
Our next question is addressed to both. Julie will answer first. What do you see to be the 3 top infrastructure issues facing our district, and how do you hope to address them?
The top 3 infrastructure issues. One would be the roads, very simply put. I came to a meeting here about 2 or 3 months ago where my opponent was standing in front of you and answering questions, and someone asked the question about the roads and saying how they felt that every time they go up and down New Hyde Park Road or Lakeville Road, they felt that they were going to get a flat tire. And my opponent laughed and commiserated and said, "Oh, I know exactly what you mean, because I go up and down those roads too." Our roads are a problem. The roads need to be fixed. I don't need to commiserate with you and tell you that I'm afraid that I'm also going to get a flat tire. We just need to get it done. That's the first thing. I go back to parks. We have beautiful parks in our county, and they are just not being well managed, well maintained. We deserve better than that. We live in a very beautiful suburban part of Nassau County where we deserve to be able to go on beautiful hikes and play pickleball and go swimming with our families. That's the second one. The third one, I would love to bring in more affordable housing. I loved what my opponent was saying about that housing for the veterans. I think that that's a beautiful idea. If there's a way that I can be part of that, I would sign me up. That's what I would love to do. Not just for our veterans and our seniors, but for our young people too.
So I agree with the roads. And I'm sorry that my opponent thinks that I was laughing at the situation. I was laughing because I understood it. I travel New Hyde Park Road and Lakeville Road every day. I don't live in this area, but I work in this area. And what happened with that New Hyde Park Road and certainly Lakeville Road, and we've all driven on that road, those roads, and you can lose a filling on those roads and those potholes. But they were temporary fixes. The utility company came in and they were working on those roads. Then they fixed it temporarily. It wasn't the best job, but we got after them, the contractors with our DPW team, and they fixed the roads. That was a temporary issue. I didn't mean to make light of it. I meant to commiserate with you. If my opponent, obviously she thought differently, that's not my issue. As far as the parks are concerned, Christopher Morley Park is one of the jewels of our county. It's in the capital plan that we're going to revitalize that park, and it's long overdue. I've taken pictures of some of the issues that need to be addressed before we get the capital plan implemented, and hopefully we can get that done this year.
The next question, Scott has answered some of it, but we have to talk about Christopher Morley because I think it's more of an issue. You said that it would, you're planning to do something this year? We're in October.
Yeah. Can I answer?
Yeah. No, the reason why I'm questioning you is because I use that park every day, and I'm like, I had to walk over the flood this morning just by the ladies' room to get down to the The old tennis courts.
So I'm personally not aware of the flooding in that area. I don't currently cover across Christopher Morley Park. I've been there several times. But this new district will encompass Christopher Morley Park.
Okay.
What we're looking to do is, if anybody plays golf here, it's right by the first tee. You have that building that is crumbling. In fact, one of the Civic Associate members brought it to my attention. It's absolutely horrific. I was mortified. And then I reached out to our DPW team to get that thing taken down. It's an add-on to the building. The building is absolutely dilapidated. It's disgusting. And then our DPW team replied back to me, well, we're gonna look at it and figure out who's responsible and who can take it down. I'm like, and I was so frustrated, absolutely. I cut on the phone and, how hard is this? Give me a payload or and I'll knock it down. And call sanitation to cart it away. How difficult is this? So some of that's frustrations that, as I said, when coming from mayor to something, being the guy to being one of 19, where DPW is stretched thin and going all over the place with all of the legislators having their areas of concern. So that's hopefully going to be taken care of within a month. It's revolting to see what happened there.
Okay, because I use that park daily, 5 days a week, they did a beautiful job on the children's playground. And the first year or first 2 years, they did a really good job of maintaining the grounds around it. They have stopped. There are more weeds than flowers now. And that's the rest of the park now. We use the old tennis courts, and there's a lot of poison ivy all over the fences. And we have asked one of the groundsmen about it, and he says he's not allowed to touch it. So, was I supposed to touch it?
I'm laughing with you folks, not because I think the situation's funny. I think it's appalling, and I'll certainly get on this tomorrow morning.
You know, it's really bad.
I can't agree with you more, and when
I'm not
things...
taking this personally.
What-
So, first off, I do apologize. If you have complaints, you need to let your legislator, the legislator for Nassau County, if they're Nassau County problems, you need to call his office and let him know about this, because he doesn't go to every facility, he doesn't walk every county road. Same thing with the town of North Hempstead. You need to utilize Christine Liu, our council person, who's in the back. We want to thank you for attending tonight. Dennis Walsh, if that's your council person, you need to notify them first of your problems. And then, if you don't get any results, then you come to the Civic. But, again, all of these state roads, county roads, they need to be, if somebody doesn't tell the person who's running it, they're not aware of it. They don't take the same streets that we do, they don't go to the same parks or whatever. So please, use the telephone, call his office if you have any major concerns in this area. Thank you.
New York State has grants for swimming facilities.
Can I answer about
Oh,
Christopher
sorry.
Morley?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Quick question to you, Rose.
Yes.
Do you remember around the time or what year it was when those children's playgrounds were made or when it was done?
Right after
Roughly.
COVID it was done.
Right after COVID?
Yeah.
So, a moment ago, my opponent said that Christopher Morley was the crown jewel of Nassau County, and then he went on to say that it was decrepit and disgusting and dilapidated and falling apart. So, I just think that it's interesting that as time lapses, these are the kinds of things that fall away by the wayside in our county. It's the same old story. It's called attrition. It's the way they tell you that they're saving money by not spending that money, but you're watching things fall apart right in front of your eyes and you can't do anything about it. This is the kind of thing that we need to address. This is the kind of thing that we need to stop here in Nassau County, because this is our crown jewel. This is where we choose to live. And for as long as we are here, we should get what we deserve.
So, Rebecca? So, Just like my opponent said that she can't be held, a volunteer can't be held responsible for the high taxes you pay in your school district taxes. I can't be responsible for Christopher Park. It's not my area, folks. I don't represent that area yet, but I guarantee you, when I'm successful in January, I will do everything I possibly can to bring that back, that park back to the beautiful place that it is and should be.
New York State has grants for swimming facilities statewide. Will you be applying for these to help bring back, to reopen the pool in the foreseeable future?
Absolutely. I absolutely will. Just as I have mentioned that I give county funds and grant monies to villages in the town of North Hempstead and to the fire districts, etc., I'll certainly seek out grant money. I'd be foolish not to. Anybody that wants to give me free money, I'm in.
I would love to see the pool at Christopher Morley reopen. Just because it's now going to be in our district doesn't mean that this is the first time that we should be part of it. I'm going to be one of 19 legislators in Nassau County. Our constituents don't only go to Christopher Morley Park, we also go to Eisenhower or Cantiague. We also utilize gas stations or roads outside of our district. We are one of 19 votes, but we also need to be fighting together to make sure that these things are taken care of. Not just at Christopher Morley, but throughout the entire county. Whether or not this is our district or not, we are all part of Nassau County.
Final question. Knowing that school taxes make up the largest part of our real estate taxes, what ways could you develop to help alleviate this burden and make living here more affordable?
Me first?
Yes, you first.
So, our hands are tied as county legislators on how much we can effectuate the school budget. But on a county level, there are so many ways that we can help alleviate those taxes by, bringing in things that make money, things that will help build that budget for the county, things that don't necessarily have to be paid for out of the pockets of each and every homeowner. Dave Kirpin, who was here last week, talked about bringing in that minor league baseball team for the town. Here in Nassau County, we have the big hub, the Coliseum, places where we can bring in not just millions of dollars, but there could be billions of dollars in contracts. We could be doing a lot more on the county level to make sure that we are helping to pay for things like said park and pool, using grants, using lots of different ways, and making sure that we are still living at the level that we should be living at, being that we're here in Nassau County.
In my school district, the district that I live in, 74 cents on every tax dollar goes to the school district. So, and my taxes are more than $13,000. But if just for easy numbers, if your school bill and your tax bill, and I'm sure yours in this area is more than that, is more than $10,000, that's $7,400 just goes to the school district. Nassau County hasn't raised taxes in 15 years. The last 3 years, the last 3 years, we haven't raised taxes at all. We've stopped budget increases, unnecessary budget increases to the tune of $170 million. We've given back funds to our residents through grant opportunities. So when I'm sitting next to someone who's raised taxes 18%, she's sitting next to someone who hasn't raised taxes for 3 years. And when I was the mayor of Mineola, the taxes that I did have to raise, because sometimes you have costs that you just can't control, it was 0.31%, 0.2%. It was 0.9%, because that's exactly what I needed, not a penny more. It wasn't the 1.6 that was in the Herrick School District, because that was probably the cap at that year, because the 2% cap isn't always 2%. It's based on a ratio. So we were under the tax cap, and I think that the county, certainly what I control of it, is doing a phenomenal job in watching our taxpayers' money.
I would like to say, thank goodness our home values are not based on our county taxes, because your values of your homes would not be nearly where they are if it wasn't for the stellar school districts that are in our area. If we want to talk about stepping up and doing our best, and my opponent has brought up the fact that he was the mayor of Mineola several times, you know, one of the things that he was unable to produce while he was there is to continue on with the birth and death certificates through the village. So traditionally, historically, the birth and death certificates that came out of Winthrop Hospital would go to the village. During his tenure, while I was deputy town clerk, they forgoed and they gave those responsibilities over to the town of North Hempstead to take over as registrar, because he and his village clerk could not handle the volume and the workload that came with it. So at the height of COVID, we brought that on. That's what we did. You can talk about, you know, 3% or 0.3% all you want. They weren't able to produce for the village, and he's not able to produce for you as a Nassau County legislator.
Absolute lie.
I've been getting a lot of text messages, and there were two questions that were very important that we were going to ask either the county executive or his opponent. And I don't know if this applies right now, but I will ask him, Scott, please shut me down if I'm incorrect. ICE in Nassau County, that's a big concern of the community. I know that the county executive has said numerous times that he is in favor of it for criminals. Do you as a legislator have any say in recommendations or voting on whether or not ICE can operate in Nassau County? And then before you answer, then I will ask Juleigh, if she's elected, what would she do if you do have the power to try to persuade or to make law?
And so I believe that was an executive.
Can you just repeat that question louder, please?
Oh, how do I remember it? Okay, so we're basically, we are asking if the legislators for the town, for the Nassau County have any position on ICE in Nassau County. Are they able to make those decisions, or does that strictly come from the county executive, basically?
That was an executive order by the county executive, as far as my opinion is concerned, and which is certainly going to get me into trouble here tonight. But I think it's important that we cooperate with all of our law enforcement partners. If they are getting criminals off our streets, which they are, absolutely they should. Going after people who are productive in the community and trying to make a better life and haven't caused an ounce of trouble in our communities, maybe they should get a play. I've spoken to our people of our Indian communities and our Asian communities, and they're angry. They're absolutely angry. And they're angry because it took many of them 12, 13, 14 years to come to this country by doing the right thing. And we opened up, the federal government opened up our borders, and millions of people came in when their families couldn't, and they couldn't bring their families over. They're angry, and they think that the same rules should apply to those after them as they had to adhere to when they came over to this country. The law is the law. Abide by the law, you have no problems. You don't abide by the law, there are consequences. But again, getting back to what I said about being productive in the community, not causing trouble, maybe you should get a play or a little bit of, maybe there should be some sort of work out an agreement with the federal government. But you're a criminal and you're in this country illegal, get out. We don't need you. We got enough issues.
You want your opinion or if you have any on it?
Well, first, thank you for speaking on behalf of the Asian community. I appreciate that
You're welcome.
point of view. But
Saying what they told me.
I will say that it's an issue to have families who are not criminals and people who are hardworking be afraid to go to work, be afraid to get medical help, be afraid to call for help when they need it. It's in the news all the time and it's getting closer and closer to home, whether it's because of the color of your skin or the place where you live. It's getting too close to home, and when we have an administration here and a legislature that supports that administration, where it's just getting out of control with doing things not the right way. We're not going after criminals. We're going after people who are trying to do the right thing. That's not okay with me.
In 2015-16, Resorts World agreed to pay the county $25 million for getting Nassau County's 1,000 VTLs annually because of the failed fortune of casino. Those are the video, the slot machines, the whole 9 yards. The first year, the amount was smaller because they only received 25% of the tournaments. Is the county still receiving the $25 million yearly? If so, where is the money being used? And would you consider having Nassau OTB setting up our own casinos as Nassau County has? As Suffolk County has. Scott?
Phil, I apologize, can you just ask the first part of that question?
The first year, the amount was 25% of the tournament.
Oh.
Are they still receiving the $25 million yearly?
When did that start?
15, 16.
2015, oh, 2015? I couldn't tell you anything about that. I don't know if we still get those funds, but I could certainly look into it. As part of the rest of the question, am I in favor of slots with Nassau County OTB? Honestly, I don't see the harm in it. People talk about gambling addictions. You know, I was at a hockey game a while ago, and the person sitting next to me was gambling on the game on his phone. So, you know, slot machines, casinos, yeah, I don't participate in a lot of that, because I work hard for my money. I don't want to give it away to people. But I could tell you that when somebody's got a gambling addiction, you're not going to stop it by closing a casino or closing a slot machine, a storefront or what have you that's got a slot machine in. People gamble on their phones. It's insane. You look at the game the other day with the Giants, people were gambling on the last 30, 40 seconds. I mean, that's an addiction in my mind anyway. And having slots, it's stopping slots and saying no, the casino is not going to stop the addictions. You got it right on our phones.
I don't know about the 15, 16 budget stuff, what's in
Well,
there.
let me ask you this, would you consider having Nassau OTB setting up their own casino like Suffolk County has? Would you be in favor of that or propose something like that to get extra revenue into Nassau County?
So I'll start by saying I'm always in favor of looking into where extra revenues can come in. I mentioned that earlier today. It would be ingenuous of me to answer that question because I don't exactly know what it would entail. I don't know what the pros and cons of having OTB coming in. So it would not be in my favor to answer that. I can tell you though, if there was a way for us to bring in revenue into our county, and if there was a way to do it safely and legally and honestly, I would be all for it. But it would definitely take some due diligence and doing some research.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, Bill, I got a question.
To him or to the candidates?
Good candidate.
Well, I don't know because then I'm opening the floor to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
The challenger will do the first closing, and then the incumbent will make the final closing.
So first of all, thank you everyone again for coming out to get to know me a little bit better. You already know your legislator. Earlier on, he said lies. Unfortunately, I didn't lie. I don't lie. Some of you who might have gotten a mailer about me probably saw some lies. The mailer says that I want to defund the police, and there's nothing that could be further from the truth, when safety is one of my very top issues. I have spent my entire adult life working with multiple organizations, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, age-based organizations, and definitely our police officers as well. I'm good friends with them. I've worked on programming with them. I respect them, and the very reason that I ever became an activist and politically active was because there was a rise in home invasions and burglaries and car thefts in our area. I didn't get into politics because I saw a life in it. I stumbled into it because I wanted to do good for our neighbors. So when we talk about lies, you got a mailer with a Photoshop photo of me on it, that's a lie. That's the epitome and the definition of a lie and fabricated truths. I came here today, I am trying to introduce myself to you so you can see who I am. And I hope to represent you, because I want nothing more than to help you and our community so that we can thrive together.
When I was mayor, even though we could have gone up to the 2% tax cap, I refused. Our taxes were absolutely minimal. Many times they were as low as 0.31%. Yes, just slightly above 0.25%. We didn't hit the tax cap because we could. We took into consideration our older neighbors and our friends who were struggling to survive, living check to check. My opponent said that parents voted for it, so it's okay. That's blaming the victim. Many of us, myself included, felt we had to vote for the school budgets. For if the budget didn't pass, our children would have had their programs eliminated. There'd be no football, soccer, or baseball teams. After-school activities such as marching band, cheerleading wouldn't exist. We'd be on austerity. As parents, we want the most for our kids, so we will sacrifice. We will take on a second or third job so our kids can have those programs. So we had to vote yes. Just the other day, as I mentioned, a friend of mine in the Herrick School District told me her school taxes rose $1,900 just this year alone. The problem is most people can't afford that, certainly not our senior citizens living on a fixed income. It seems that my opponent didn't think much about them or care when school taxes rose over 18%, increasing the tax burden by $17 million. I'm sure, as I mentioned, out of a budget that large, she could have found operational efficiencies and economies of scale. Apparently not. Nassau County is in strong financial shape. The Republican majority reduced the tax levy by $70 million just a few years ago. We also eliminated a Democrat-planned $170 million tax increase in the last few years. Republicans haven't raised taxes in the last 15 years, yet we've built up our reserves, which is as of 2025 is $544 million. We've had seven bond rating increases. I was raised on strong family values my parents taught me, the same values I instilled in my children and are being taught to my granddaughter. We know right from wrong. We know we shouldn't take things that don't belong to us. We know we need to pay for things in a store and not steal them because laws have changed or been decriminalized. There is a group of people who think it's okay to put criminals back on our streets. That's okay, and that it's okay to smoke pot and drive recklessly. We can't let it happen here. I was taught that in organized sports, boys play with boys and girls play with girls. The Republican majority enacted a law in Nassau County to protect women in girls' sports. We need to keep fighting the erosion of women's rights, something so many fought so hard for. My entire adult life as a volunteer firefighter, as a police officer, as an elected official, I have always put others first. I have always done what was right. I have always protected and represented people of all cultures, all religions, regardless of their skin color or what language they speak, and I will continue to do so. If you feel that Nassau County is on the right track by keeping taxes down, bond ratings up, and by being the safest county in the country, I'm your guy. If you feel if they have the same values as I do, if you have the same desires for our community as I do, I'm your guy. If you believe that our future depends on making sound choices, having core values, and normal thinking, I'm your guy. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of how you feel, what differences we may have, I sincerely thank all of you for coming out tonight. Thank you for your passion.